Imagine a funeral where nobody is actually sad. A billionaire has just passed away, leaving behind a massive empire. His family is gathered, but instead of mourning, they are salivating. They are thinking about the cars, the mansions, and the bank accounts that are about to be handed to them. In the middle of this, there's a young man named Peter. He's wearing dark glasses, a smirk, and he's lighting a cigarette like he's at a nightclub, not a burial. To Peter, money was never something you earned. It was something that just existed, like air. Because of that, Peter was the definition of lazy. He had no drive, no purpose, and a deep-seated boredom that made his life feel empty despite his millions. Maybe you feel like Peter sometimes, not the billionaire part, but the part where you feel lazy. You want to fix your finances. You want to start that side hustle, learn to invest, or finally stick to a budget. But every time you try, your brain screams no. It feels like a punishment. Today, we're going to look at how Peter Stevens went from a spoiled heir to a man who craved hard work. We're going to use the lessons from the powerful story, The Ultimate Gift, to show you how to rewire your brain so that financial discipline doesn't feel like a chore. It becomes your second nature. We often tell ourselves we are lazy because we can't get motivated to do hard things like tracking expenses or working extra hours. But the truth is, your brain isn't lazy. It's just efficient. It's designed to seek pleasure and avoid pain. In the sources, Peter's life was full of unearned pleasure. When you get a reward without the effort, your brain's dopamine system gets hijacked. Why work for $1 when you've always been handed 100? To fix this, we have to introduce what psychologists call meaningful pain. We all run from pain, but deep down, we actually need it. Think about the feeling after a hard workout or finishing a difficult project. That's meaningful pain. It's the effort that gives the reward its value. Peter's grandfather, Howard Red, knew this. He didn't leave Peter a check in his will. He left him a series of gifts. And the first one was the hardest. Peter was sent to a farm in Texas. No business class, no 5-star hotels. He had to fly economy, which he felt was an insult, and then he was dropped in a field and told to dig. His task was simple but brutal. Dig holes and plant heavy wooden fence posts in a perfectly straight line. At first, Peter did what most people do when they start a new financial habit. He tried to cheat. He looked for a signal on his phone to call for help. He complained he did the work sloppily. On the first day, he barely got anything done. On the second day, the old rancher looked at his crooked fence posts and tore them all out of the ground. He told Peter, "Do it again and do it right." This is the crooked fence stage of your finances. You try to budget for 3 days, you fail and you want to quit. But then something happened to Peter. After a few weeks of digging, the blisters on his hands turned to calluses. He stopped looking at the clock. He started focusing on the line. He began to take pride in the straightness of the fence. By the end of the month, he wasn't doing it for the money anymore. He was doing it for the satisfaction of the work itself. He had discovered the gift of hard work. If you want to crave financial work, you have to stop focusing on the $1 million at the end. That's a shallow meaning. Instead, find your fence post. Your fence post might be saving your first $1,000. It might be the 30 minutes you spend every Sunday morning reviewing your bank statements. The brain hack. Don't let yourself look at the big picture yet. Focus on the straight line of your daily habits. When you see progress, even a small straight line of savings, your brain starts to crave the feeling of being in control. One of the biggest reasons we fail financially is that we are too comfortable in our own debt or mediocrity. We have a safety net of credit cards or family help that keeps us from feeling the true weight of our situation. Peter's second test was a reality check. His grandfather's lawyer, Mr. Hamilton, cut him off completely. Suddenly, Peter's car was towed. His apartment was locked. He was homeless. For the first time in his life, he had to survive on his own. He ended up sleeping on a park bench. This sounds like a nightmare, but it was actually a gift. It was the gift of resilience. When Peter had nothing, he realized that he was still Peter. He didn't die without his sports car. He learned that he could survive, adapt, and solve problems. You don't need to become homeless to learn this, but you do need to freeze your own accounts mentally. Try a no-spend month where you only pay for absolute essentials. Force yourself to live on 50% of your income for 30 days and put the rest in a resilience fund. The brain hack. By intentionally creating a little bit of financial friction, you prove to your brain that you are stronger than your impulses. This builds the mental muscle you need to handle real financial crises later on. Wealth isn't just about what's in your bank account. It's about who is in your life. When Peter was rich, he thought he had hundreds of friends. But the moment his credit cards were declined, every single one of them disappeared. Even his girlfriend walked out on him when he asked her to pay for dinner. He realized that he had fake friends, people who loved his money, not him. It wasn't until he was sitting on that park bench that he met Emily, a young girl with a terminal illness, and her mother Alexia. They didn't know he was a billionaire's grandson. They liked him because he was kind to them. They became his gift of people. In finance, we often say you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If your friends spend every weekend blowing their paychecks on status symbols, your brain will think that's normal. Audit your circle. Are your friends consumptive, always spending, or productive, always building? Find a community, a book club, a mastermind, or a group of like-minded individuals who value the gift of hard work over the appearance of wealth. The brain hack. When you surround yourself with people who celebrate financial discipline, your brain stops seeing saving as a sacrifice and starts seeing it as a ticket to a better tribe. Now we get to the most emotional part of the training. Howard Reed gave Peter $1,500, money Peter had earned with his own sweat in Texas, and gave him one instruction. You cannot spend a single cent on yourself. You must give it to someone who truly needs it. Peter initially tried to just get rid of the money by giving it to a homeless man, but he realized that wasn't the point. He eventually found Emily, the girl from the park. He discovered she was dying of cancer and her mother couldn't afford the hospital bills. Peter used his $1,500 to pay those bills. And for the first time, Peter didn't feel poor because he was giving money away. He felt powerful. This is the psychological shift that creates billionaires. When you realize that money is a tool to solve problems for others, you stop being afraid of work. You start craving the work because you want the power to help people. Set aside a small percentage of your income, even if it's just $20, specifically for the gift of giving. Don't just automate it to a big charity. Find a specific person or a local cause where you can see the impact. The brain hack giving activates the reward centers of the brain more than buying things for yourself. It creates a positive purpose that fuels your drive to earn more. At the end of the journey, Peter was given $100 million, but he was a different person now. He didn't go buy a fleet of Ferraris. Instead, he sat down and asked himself, what is my dream? He realized his dream was to help families like Emily's. He decided to build Emily's home, a place where families of sick children could stay for free while their kids were in the hospital. The reason you feel lazy is likely because your why is too small. If your goal is just to pay the rent, your brain will give you just enough energy to pay the rent. But if your goal is to build a legacy, to provide for your family for generations, or to solve a problem in your community, your brain will unlock a level of focus you didn't know you had. Seek meaningful pain. Embrace the sweat of the fence post. Find your resilience. Don't fear the frozen account. It makes you stronger. Upgrade your people. Surround yourself with builders, not spenders. Work for a purpose. Find a dream that is bigger than your own comfort. Peter Stevens started as a guy who had everything but possessed nothing. By the end, he had lost everything but gained the world. He learned that the gift of hard work isn't about the money, it's about the person you become while you're earning it. Stop waiting for a motivation lightning bolt to hit you. It's not coming. Motivation is something you create by picking up the shovel and digging the first hole. What is your fence post today? Is it opening that investment account? Is it working that extra 4 hours this weekend? Whatever it is, do it with the intention of making the line perfectly straight. Your brain is ready to work. You just have to give it a mission worth working for. The ultimate gift isn't the money. It's the life you build because you weren't afraid to work for it.